Before disco died and punk found its footing, 1978 gave us a radio landscape overflowing with one-time wonders, songs that burned bright on FM stations, then vanished into the vinyl archives. Some were crafted by veterans chasing one last hit, others by young dreamers who never got a second chance, but every one of them deserves another spin, so let's bring them back, starting with number 1. Number 10 takes us to the dance floor with A Taste of Honey and their infectious groove, Boogie Oogie Oogie.
'Cause we're gonna boogie, oogie, oogie till you just can't boogie.
Yes, they technically had another minor hit, but this was their supernova moment, a number 1 smash that dominated summer 1978. Formed by guitarist Janice Marie Johnson and bassist Hazel Payne in Los Angeles, this all-female band brought a sophistication to disco that set them apart from the pack. Producer Fonse Mazel, who'd worked with the Jacksons, helped craft a sound that was equal parts funk, soul, and pure Saturday night energy. The song won them a Grammy for Best New Artist, beating out Elvis Costello and the Cars, a decision that still raises eyebrows today. But when disco collapsed under its own weight in 1979, A Taste of Honey couldn't pivot fast enough, and radio moved on without them. Still, that bass line remains absolutely undeniable. Number 9 brings us Player and their silky smooth ballad, Baby Come Back.
Baby, come back. Any kind of fool could see.
This wasn't just a hit, it was the sound of heartbreak wrapped in California sunshine, a number 1 record that defined soft rock's golden moment. Formed from the ashes of a touring band, Player featured Peter Beckett on vocals, whose voice carried just the right mix of yearning and polish. The song was co-written by Beckett and guitarist J.C. Crowley, reportedly inspired by a real breakup that left both of them reeling in the studio. Producer Dennis Lambert, who'd worked with the Four Tops and Cher, shaped the track with layered guitars and a rhythm section that never overpowered the emotional core. It spent 3 weeks at number 1 in early 1978, and it seemed like Player had arrived. But follow-up singles barely cracked the top 40, and by 1980 the band had quietly dissolved. The song, though? It's been covered, sampled, and rediscovered by generation after generation. Number 8 takes us across the Atlantic with Gerry Rafferty and Baker Street.
You're trying now.
A song so iconic you might wonder how it ended up on this list. But here's the thing, for all its fame, Rafferty never came close to matching this success in America again. That unforgettable saxophone riff, played by session legend Raphael Ravenscroft, became one of the most recognizable hooks in rock history. Rafferty, a former member of Stealers Wheel, poured his frustration with the music industry into the lyrics. The song's protagonist is stuck in London, dreaming of escape, drowning in disillusionment. By most accounts, Rafferty himself was battling alcohol and depression during the sessions, emotions that seeped into every verse. The single climbed to number 2 in the United States, held off the top only by the Bee Gees' Night Fever. Rafferty retreated from the spotlight soon after, rarely touring, rarely promoting. He passed away in 2011, but that saxophone still echoes through classic rock stations every single day. Number 7 belongs to Nick Gilder and Hot Child in the City.
Hot child in the city.
A song that sounds like it was born in neon and gasoline. This glam-infused rocker hit number 1 in October 1978, and it dripped with sleaze, danger, and pure FM radio swagger. Gilder had been the original lead singer of Sweeney Todd. Yes, that was a real band, before going solo and linking up with producer Mike Chapman. Chapman, known for his work with Blondie and the Knack, crafted a pulsing, almost predatory production that made the song feel cinematic. Lyrically, it's about a runaway teenager lost in the urban jungle, a theme that resonated during an era when cities felt both thrilling and terrifying. The track spent 1 week at number 1, outselling heavyweights like the Rolling Stones and the Commodores. But Gilder's follow-up singles barely charted, and by the early 80s, he'd faded from mainstream view. Still, if you want to bottle the raw energy of late 70s rock radio, this is the song. If you're loving this trip through forgotten records, hit subscribe. We've got more stories from rock's golden age coming every week. Number 6 introduces us to Exile and their soulful groove, Kiss You All Over.
I wanna kiss you all over.
This Kentucky-based band had been grinding it out for years, mixing rock, R&B, and country into a sound that never quite fit anywhere until this song hit number 1 in September 1978. Produced by Mike Chapman, the same architect behind Nick Gilder's success, Kiss You All Over was pure bedroom soul with a rhythm that moved like honey. The lyrics left nothing to the imagination, and radio couldn't get enough of it. It topped the charts for 4 straight weeks, selling over 1 million copies and becoming one of the biggest singles of the year. But Exile couldn't replicate the magic. Their next pop single stalled, and by the early 80s, they'd pivoted entirely to country music where they found surprising success. Still, this song remains a time capsule of late 70s sensuality, a groove that refuses to age. Number 5 takes us to the movie theater with Robby Benson's We're Gonna Find It Tonight. A song that soundtracked teenage dreams across America. Benson, already a teen heartthrob from films like Ice Castles and Ode to Billy Joe, recorded this track for the movie The End, directed by Burt Reynolds. The song captured that restless, romantic energy of late 70s youth, all searching eyes and open highways. It peaked at number 24, not a chart topper, but a song that lingered on album-oriented rock stations for months. Benson never pursued a full-time music career, choosing acting and directing instead, which makes this one of pop music's great what-ifs. By most accounts, Benson was uncomfortable with the pressures of the recording industry, preferring the collaborative nature of filmmaking. But for those who remember spinning this single, it still conjures up Friday nights, first dates, and the feeling that anything was possible. Number 4 brings us the Atlanta Rhythm Section and their shimmering hit, Imaginary Lover. Imaginary Lover. This southern rock band had been building a following throughout the 70s, but this was the song that finally pushed them into the mainstream, peaking at number 7 in the spring of 1978. Written by guitarist Barry Bailey, bassist Paul Goddard, and keyboardist Dean Daughtry, the song captured loneliness and longing with a melody that felt almost hypnotic. Produced by Buddy Boogie, who'd worked with the Classics 4, the track was layered with dreamy guitars and a rhythm section that swayed like a slow dance under dim lights. The lyrics spoke to anyone who'd ever felt isolated, inventing romance in their own mind just to survive another quiet night. The song became their biggest hit, propelling the album Champagne Jam to platinum status. But by the early 80s, lineup changes and shifting tastes left them behind, and radio moved on. Still, Imaginary Lover remains a masterclass in mood and melody. Number 3 takes us to the heart of power pop with the Dwight Twilley Band and I'm on Fire. Not to be confused with Bruce Springsteen's later hit of the same name, this song was pure, unfiltered rock and roll energy, fueled by jangly guitars and Twilley's yelping vocals. Twilley, a Tulsa native, had been championed by Tom Petty and Shelter Records, and this single was supposed to be his breakthrough. It climbed to number 16 in the summer of 1978, powered by relentless FM radio play and a sound that seemed to bridge the Beatles and the Ramones. But despite critical acclaim and a devoted cult following, Twilley never matched this success on the charts again. Label troubles, distribution issues, and the fickleness of radio all conspired against him. By most accounts, Twilley grew frustrated with the industry, though he continued recording for decades. For power pop fanatics, though, this song is nothing short of a sacred text. Number 2 brings us Warren Zevon and Werewolves of London. Werewolves of London. A song that's achieved immortality through sheer weirdness. With its snarling piano riff and absurdist lyrics, this track was unlike anything else on radio in 1978. Zevon, a singer-songwriter with a reputation for dark humor and even darker nights, co-wrote the song with Leroy Marinell and Waddy Wachtel. The sessions, reportedly fueled by cheap wine and late-night laughter, captured a lightning-in-a-bottle energy that you can still hear today. The single peaked at number 21, Zevon's only real mainstream hit, though his albums and influence ran deep among musicians. Jackson Browne, Fleetwood Mac, and Linda Ronstadt all championed him, but commercial success always remained just out of reach. Zevon passed away in 2003, but not before recording one final album with friends like Springsteen and Tom Petty. Werewolves of London endures, a perfect blend of humor, horror, and rock and roll swagger. And finally, number 1 belongs to Andrew Gold and Thank You for Being a Friend. And the card attached would say, "Thank you for being a friend." A song that became a television immortal decades after its release. In 1978, this was a top 25 hit, a breezy, upbeat ode to friendship that seemed tailor-made for sunny afternoons and FM light rock. A session musician who'd played with Linda Ronstadt and toured with James Taylor crafted the song in a single afternoon, inspired by the loyalty of friends who stuck by him through hard times. The production, warm and inviting, featured layered harmonies and a melody that felt effortless. Critics noted Gold's knack for crafting radio-friendly pop without sacrificing emotional honesty. The song peaked at number 25, a modest success that seemed destined to fade, until 1985, when it became the theme song for the Golden Girls, introducing it to millions of new fans. Gold passed away in 2011, but his song has become a cultural touchstone, covered, quoted, and beloved. It's proof that sometimes, the best hits take years to find their true audience. 1978 was a year of transition. Disco was dying, punk was rising, And radio was still wide open enough to let these strange, beautiful songs through. Some of these artists kept recording, some walked away, but every one of them left behind something undeniable. These weren't just songs, they were snapshots of a moment when anything could become a hit, when a single could still change your life, when FM radio felt like a conversation between friends. And maybe that's why they still sound fresh today, because they were never trying to be anything other than honest. They were just musicians, chasing a melody, hoping someone out there was listening. And we were. Which song hit you hardest today? Drop your memories in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from the decades that changed music forever.